right, let's get into it. Everybody, welcome back to the Pop Podcast. Our first guest.
Save the first for best.
Save the first for best. 2011 U.S. Today High School All-American, two-time All-State football player in Texas, helped anchor Euless Trinity to one of their state titles in, I think, 2009.
Go Trojans.
And he worked with Blackwater and private with his uncle, Junior Kai Lahi, doing a lot of bodyguarding for some celebrities out in California, I think in Vegas too, and a former center and guard at the University of Utah, Hiva Lutui.
Hey. Thank you. Yeah. I didn't know you guys ran a full background check on me.
Wikipedia does its magic.
Oh yeah,
Wikipedia, man, hooked it up.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's a pleasure to be on here, be the first one. So thank you all for having me.
Yeah. So for all of our guests, we bring on, like, especially for guys who played sports. I think the first story or first question I want to ask is, whenever you started playing D1 football, like, by who and when was the first time you got like, oh shoot, this is D1 football, like this is for real.
When I was in college?
Like,
yeah.
Beast mode. You heard of Marshawn?
It happened to be versus Star.
Oh shoot.
Star,
okay.
Yeah. So your brother-in-law, yes.
Yeah.
My first year as a freshman at University of Utah, I was on the practice squad redshirting. And I'll never forget, there's a big hype about Star being a future first rounder and going against him in practice. Of course, it made me better, but however, he did put me on my behind a couple of times. But you know, it's all learning lessons. But yeah, that was my first experience of like, all right, I need to step my game up. This is D1 football, and I got ways to go.
Heck yeah. Played guard, right?
Yeah, played guard and center.
Nice.
For 4 years. 4 years at University of Utah.
And unfortunately, injuries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Going into my senior season, I got hurt before the season happened. Torn my ACL and MCL. Definitely a devastating moment, especially at that time. However, in my opinion, it was just another. I think it was just God's plan for me. That He had different plans for other ventures. So.
Blessing in disguise.
Blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up, man. Let's dive into your maybe your high school experience. Mm-hmm. I remember, what was it, like 6th, 7th grade when you moved from Cali to
California
to Texas?
Oh, you're originally from Cali?
Yeah.
So I have a long story.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So I was actually born in Texas.
Okay.
So my mom and dad got married in California. My mom met my dad. He came down for a church event to Texas. So my dad, when he came down from the islands, his family's from California, moved to California, and then they were doing church shows going around to different cities. So they went to Utah, Nevada, so on, so on, and made their way to Texas, and they did a show there. My mom met him. Back in the days, there was no cell phone, so she had to call the house phone.
Okay.
Or my dad had to call the house phone. And my dad got rejected a lot of times. However, he kept pursuing it, and eventually, married my mom. And they had my older sister in California, and then they got in a little dispute. They never got divorced. My mom just wanted to get away when they got in a fight one time, and moved back to Texas. And then that's where I was born. So that's where I was born in Texas. And my dad will occasionally visit, but I was too young to remember at all.
Yeah.
And then I just remember one day my mom woke us up, told us to get our stuff packed, and next minute we're in California in a house full of 20 to 30 of my dad's family members that I had never met or remember meeting.
That's crazy.
And yeah, so I lived in California for...
You save on rent.
Yeah. I lived in California from 98 when I was 4 years old, and moved back to Texas in 2005. So, like I said, it was like a house full of like 20, 30 of my dad's family members. So, brothers and sisters of his with their kids, the grandparents. So, it was definitely an eventful childhood that I lived. Also, we didn't have much financially. So, it definitely made me grateful and for everything I do have now. And what happened was that I guess someone wasn't paying their side of the rent for multiple months, and one day the landlord just came over with the police, and I remember I was staying back from school that day, taking care of my little brother, and the police and the landlord came and said that we had to the end of the day to move out, and that's how I ended up back in Texas. So we're moving from motel to motel, just me, my sister, my little brother, and my parents. And my mom, she works for Hilton Hotel, so for a little bit, we were living at her work, and just one day, my parents just decided that it was best for them to move us to Texas, where all my mom's family's from.
Yeah.
Just because they knew financially they couldn't support us at that time, which, I understand,
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I moved back to Texas in 2005 and stayed with my mom's family. And it's crazy because all my mom's siblings live in one city.
Yeah.
So all my mom's siblings live in Euless. So it was so easy for me to make that transaction, and it made me feel right at home. And from there on, continue on my education through high school, graduated, and then to Utah.
Nice.
Man, that's crazy. Like, what a, not even trauma, but just such a huge transition for just being all right, we're all living with family, and then within a day, boom.
Yeah.
You have your own
literally,
room.
you go, you're picked up and just dropped into another city. Because I still remember the first time I met you. I remember we were at my house on Cohen Lane, and Lahi brought you over for the first time. And I was just playing basketball by myself in the backyard. And Lahi's like, hey, dude, look, we got a new kid who just moved in from Cali. And then literally, you two were conjoined at the hip after that point. Y'all, you were always at the house, or he would always go with you wherever you guys went. And then, literally the year right after that was when my whole family left and came here to Utah.
Yeah, that is true. That timeline. But living with 20 people, you create bonds though over the years, because you're next to each other for a long time. Do you still talk to them back in Cali?
Oh yeah, all the time. Anytime I go back and visit my parents, and it's just, I don't know how to say it. It's just, it's definitely an experience for sure. And when I did move away at first, it was hard. But however, we all understood the situation.
You always, when you move somewhere new, you always know that one person who kind of welcomes you to the city. Do you know who that was in Euless?
That was Lahi.
Definitely was, man.
So Lahi, outside of my family, even though Lahi is family, outside of my immediate family, he was the first person I met at South Euless Elementary. And
real one, South Euless.
He was the one that basically introduced me to everybody in Euless.
Yeah, that's tight.
That's how I met Langi and their family.
I remember Lahi was telling me, he's yeah, so it's when I first met Hiva, my dad would just take Hiva with us to throw. And Hiva had never really played football like that before, but we were so competitive when it came to football. Kautai would have us out there just it's all right, everybody line up, get in routes, Lahi, they'll throw, and all of us trying to catch balls. Ain't nobody teaching us how to run routes or do anything. They're just get out there and start running around.
That's the best though.
And the funniest thing was Kautai did that with everyone. It wasn't only Hiva. He would grab Josh, he would grab all the boys. Hey, you guys come run. And then before you knew it, we had 20 kids with Dale and Ross and everybody over there just running around. And I know for a fact, Lahi probably took this dude to go, oh, this is Reed and Kale in his house. This is so-and-so's house. And just walking around.
Showing him around.
Our whole entire little neighborhood.
It's great. The fact that you bring up Kautai, he's actually one of the first people I'm very thankful for when I moved to Euless. Because he definitely got me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Nice. Coming into a new place, you're just very conservative. And I remember Kautai, I'll be chilling in my house playing games and he'll come pick me up. No questions asked. He will get in the car. Let's go. I was like, where are we going? We're going to go work out or play football. And I think that introducing to Lahi and the whole sport of football, because when I came from California, I never played organized football. It was with basketball at the park, stuff like that. And I mean, just Kautai's introduction, got me, I believe, to where I'm at as well with football.
Sorry, don't worry about me. Lahi just made a guest appearance.
Oh, speaking of Lahi.
Lahi, get in here. But no, that's good. Thinking about, so you never played football growing up until you got to Texas?
No, I never did. I just feel like sports wasn't really pushed on my dad's family, I would say. But coming to Texas, the whole atmosphere,
that's straight
it's
sports.
a different. It's a different.
It's
football,
like a religion.
Football, it really is a religion.
It
I'll tell you
really
that
is.
firsthand experience.
Yeah, but so getting into high school, you played on the 09 team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You started. What, in your humble opinion, what was the best Trinity Trojan team to walk through those halls?
Coming with the fire early, man.
I'm a little biased.
He's trying to set me up right now because
I try to be unbiased, but
it's funny because when I first moved to Texas, I remember going to all the Trinity games and like back in my hometown. I grew up in Orange County in Boynton Park in Cypress, California.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first moved to Texas, I didn't know how big high school football was. In California, it wasn't really anything. And I just remember every weekend, my family would wake me up like, "Hey, hurry up, get ready, let's go to the Trinity game."
Yeah.
And I used to watch you play Tapa. So
oh yeah,
I knew like you guys were like role models to me. And for me, just seeing Polynesians out there at, in my opinion, at that time, the highest level of football, which was high school, it just made me motivated. Like, okay, this is possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible for me to make it in football. One day play for Trinity, and then also to hopefully continue my career. So, thank you. I thank you and the older boys for that because you guys are role models to me.
I think you're not trying to answer the question.
No,
I appreciate it though. I appreciate it.
Was cold, man.
In my unbiased opinion, though, I would say my junior year will probably
Ooh,
even though we lost in state.
Why are you making that face like?
we should have won that game, but that's my personal opinion. Best team go through this.
That was my senior year there.
See, he's biased too. Come on.
Hey man,
Wait, hold on. Tapa, what year?
BC, man. I don't know. Randy Carter was a whole nother animal, man. I don't
That's
know if
true.
anybody was ready for that guy.
I don't know.
I mean, Tapa was a part of some great Trinity teams as well. So
This is my thing though. Like, if you notice the atmosphere of Trinity. So in 04 and 03 when Iquila and them were all there.
I watched them.
So like
growing
with the Mohitao brothers, they kind of like set the standard of the way we play football is we're gonna smash not football. We're gonna run the ball down your throat,
Run the rock,
and you will not be able to stop it. And so, like, if you notice from that point on, we had all-state O-linemen every single year, and it was at least 3 of them, right?
Yep.
And so from that point on, like the sophomores and juniors coming in reinforced whatever senior class was getting ready to come out, right? And so for like years like your 07 year was a big major role in the 05 year that first took it with the best offense that ever.
The scout teams were the best scout teams.
Yeah. And so like when
the scout
07,
team could beat other ranked teams in the nation, I think.
Yeah, but like even the 09 guys who were sophomores for the 07, like y'all prepared them to be ready to make their run in 09. And so in 09 and them, like all the 11 guys, like Brandon Carter and them, like for my age group, like they were the reason why 11 was so good. And so when Lahi and them came up with Lahi, Hiva, Lahi, like your whole age group, like that's why y'all were so dominant because every year was preparing the next generation to be great. And like if you were on the scout team, like, scout team was knocking heads, and that's where you really proved yourself. Like going up and you got to go head up with Mao, like, oh shoot, this is the most beast player in all of Texas right now. If I can handle my own against Mao, like everyone is cake.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
Like if I can handle my own against like Ofa Mohitao, like everyone else is cake. So your best look was always in practice. And I felt like from year to year to year, like that's the reason why Trinity was so good for so long. And I think there's kind of been like that lost concept of you got to grind to get on the field pretty much, where a lot of these kids are kind of entitled because now you have the facility. Now you have all the things they wish we would have.
That slow grind.
Yeah. And so like all these kids don't understand. Like you don't understand what it took for the little small city of Euless to be put on the map in terms of football. And I think like what's great about all of it now is just like you have so many guys who went out and did their thing. And I've been telling Tapa this, like our number one goal as Polynesian people, if we want to take like our community to new heights, is going back and giving to our communities, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So like if you reach a level of success, like the biggest thing you can go back and do is like, now that I'm successful, let's make sure that this next generation is set up for success.
True.
And in terms of like like who was the best though in like 07, 09, 05. I think every single one of them has their claim to being great. Like 05's offense.
The offense. Whew.
Oh man, like you had Robert Davila, you had Marcus King,
Dimitri
Trevor
Nance.
Vidato, Dimitri Nance, LaDerrick Handy.
That was actually my first year back in Texas. Was when they won state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had LaDerrick Handy, then you had who was it, Jordan Scoggins, right?
Yeah, the tight end.
Like
He's the best tight end over there. Or in Trinity ever.
And then you had Henry Nute and all them. So like that whole offense was stacked. And then your year, y'all's defense was stacked like crazy.
Yeah, Junior Taumoepeau,
like everyone. And then
Wayne.
And then that 09 and 010 year where you guys should have won state.
Almost went back to back, yeah.
What's it called? I felt like Brandon Carter was by far he had the most dominant season for a single player, probably since Dimitri Nance, but the way he dominated games from every part of the field was just like something we had never seen before. Mm-hmm. Like I remember watching his highlights and people would catch YouTube clips. And we didn't really have YouTube where like you can go and find the full highlights of games. And I'd look up like Brandon Carter and like, oh shoot, like this dude's the truth. Like he literally got a first down on one play. And I remember he wrapped it all the way back around, went behind the line of scrimmage, took off on the other sideline and took it back for like 60. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? And I was like, oh man, that was just beast.
I think the most undervalued thing between all those teams, I mean, everyone has their claim, it was the chemistry in the locker room.
Yeah.
The locker room played a big part of that. Nobody talks about. Everyone just sees the final product on game day. And I just, with my personal experience, that 09 team, we had a great leader in Kelly, EC Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly's the boy, man.
And he riled us up. I remember we lost. So our first game actually was against Bingham.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I was repping for Texas so hard that I get
trust me. It was definitely an experience. I remember before the game, I was so nervous. It was my first varsity game starting. Threw up in the bathroom.
Oh, snap.
And, but, played the game and we won by a good amount. Not trying to brag. However, after nobody really knows, but after that game, we lost 2 straight home games to Allen and Cedar Hill.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember we ran out to play Fossil Ridge the week after, and we're at Pennington, home field, running out the tunnel, and I was like, man, what happened to all of our fans? Like, it's like our...
Really?
Like,
yeah,
our fans
the whole
gave
city
up on us.
was talking crap about that 2009 year.
Yeah, at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And
I did not know that.
I just remember Kelly, Na'a, Mote Maile, and then they just got us all together and was just kind of like, we don't care. Anyone block the noise out, we're going to make this happen. And I remember me and Kelly made a pact that, like we had this little handshake we used to do during every game, and we told each other we're not going to stop doing this until we win state. And then we happened to make it our way to the Alamo Bowl. I mean, the Alamo Stadium for the state game. And when we won state, it was sweet. I'll tell you that. It was definitely a moment to be proud of. And also just bringing it back to Euless, bringing back the state championship to Euless. So.
And talk about, what's it called? Was it the Coppell game? Y'all won on that sweep?
Yes.
Yeah, talk about, that's like known as one of the greatest like Texas football games ever. Like literally whoever had the ball last was going to score. And it was just back and forth. And then that last game came in. And I know Lahi can give some insight because he was probably one of the ones that changed the play.
Okay.
So, just talk about that experience as a whole.
I think Lahi you give better insight because you was actually in the game or you on the field. Because I actually wasn't in on that last play. I had messed up I had a high ankle sprain.
Oh, shoot.
So I actually got subbed out about 2 drives before the last play. So I was on the sideline witnessing firsthand the whole play and everything.
Greatness.
The great. I think what made that game very special was, Euless Trinity, we do the haka before every game. Mm-hmm. And that game specifically, I'll never forget. We came out to do the haka, and as we halfway through our haka, we just started hearing a chant in the background. And I remember I'm down on my knee doing the haka and. Like, what the heck are they saying? So I turned back around, and it's all of Coppell. So I don't want to say for 10, 15,000 people with American flags going USA, USA.
Wow.
And then in my head, I was like, okay, we got a game. We like this is more than just a game now. It's like personal. It's like so that's why that game was so, like, I want to say amped up the whole time. It was just back and forth. And it's crazy too, because the year before we actually went to watch Coppell. They're playing Arlington Colts, I believe. And the winner of that game, we were going to play next. So we went to go watch them. This is the year before we had the game we're talking about. And I remember we sat on Coppell's side cheering for them. And then Coppell was like, Trinity, you guys have our utmost respect. We're going to be cheering for y'all. And then that's the year we won state. However, the following year, we happened to play them in the playoffs. And they're acting a whole different way than they're telling us. So, yeah. So that last play, though, it was a great moment for our team. And honestly, like, whenever that happened, we all felt like, okay, we're going to take state again this year. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't. But, like, that play did cement itself in Texas football history.
Hey, you want to let Lahi get on and see, or just let him use the mic and tell that story?
Yeah.
Of the last play?
Easy.
Last play.
Be like this far away.
Like I gotta be closer?
A little bit. Oh, you know. Right there.
Like I'm in a booth or?
Turn me a little bit.
Shoot.
So how did that go down, man? What was the call on the play?
Bro, that last play was actually pretty crazy. Like Hiva was saying, the whole game was super intense. They were doing really well. Coppell did. We didn't have the lead the entire game. When we won was when we finally took the lead. That last play to win was our first lead of the entire game. So it was pretty intense. But so what happened was when we got down there in the red zone, I think we were like a few yards at most. And Brandon, I don't care what anyone says about Brandon. He was our savior. So basically Brandon is like, "Coach, throw it up to me. Throw it up." And I'm looking at him like, "Are you crazy, bro? Like this is for it all."
2 yard line? What are we
2
on?
yard line.
Yeah.
At the most,
Goal
it would have
line,
been 3, but we were on the goal line, and this is for all the marbles. He's like, "Throw it up to me, Coach." Coach Jensen's doesn't know what's going on. He's like tapping his foot super fast. I look at him like, "Coach, 49 sweep. Let's just get in jumbo. 49 sweep." I called the play.
And that's a play we ran.
I called the play. I said, "Let's get in jumbo, motion him across, 49 sweep." And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "It's going to work." He's like, "All right, Brandon, go quarterback." I didn't even get to run the play. I called the play.
But you weren't part of the play.
I called the play, but I wasn't part of it. But I was like, "It's cool. This is going to work." So I'm standing there right next to Coach Jensen. They call the motion, run the sweep. Brandon's out there leading. Everyone is lead blocking, and Tevin just catches the pitch and is straight to the pylon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Justin
then
Mark makes the block for that game, for that play.
Yeah.
Jay Mark, shout out to Jay Mark, man. that's the guy right there. Yeah.
And he met someone at the goal line, at the pylon too. But
stayed low and got through pretty much.
It was
bombarded the field. It was,
man, that must have been crazy.
It was fun, man. I called that play though. I remember that.
Jensen might take credit. You should be the head coach.
Can't do much worse than just playing. Yeah, man. It's just kind of sad to see like how far off Trinity has fallen since Lineweaver left, man. And I feel like, especially for you players that played for him, like I've never heard a bad thing about Lineweaver ever by anybody. And like to think about like before Lineweaver got there, Trinity was always known for like having a few talented players to turn it into the powerhouse and dynasty that he turned it into. Literally getting you guys the Nike commercial like sponsor, being the first team to wear like that Nike gear when y'all came out in like 2010. I was just like, damn, it's like, I wish I would have never moved to Utah. That was my first thought when I saw those unis. I was like, damn, them mugs look clean as hell.
Yeah.
The great thing about Coach Lineweaver though was it was never, his specialty wasn't about the X's and O's. Of course he does. Him and his assistant do a great job with game plan, but it was just his special trait, in my personal opinion, was the way he can get a team rallied up. Like even like how big the circumstance may be, he knew how to keep us like calm and composure and to perform at our very best, which I believe was the underrated thing for Coach Lineweaver.
Yeah, he was a true head coach. Like Hiva said, he didn't have too much to do with a lot of our game plan and stuff like that. Of course, he had a say on like some fourth down calls and important calls like that. But what he was good at was teaching the team to rely on each other, playing together, and just like, dude, just do your job and trust that your teammate's gonna do their job. And if we all do our job, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna succeed. And there's something special about Coach Lineweaver, man. He's just...
Well, it makes sense, though, because ever since he's left, like, the program has never been the same. Yeah.
And it goes back to the whole chemistry.
Yeah.
He was one of the main reasons why we're so known to be, like, one big family. He just knows how to get... Or, like, I remember he used to make us do all those stuff that, like, team building, like singing songs.
A bunch of team building stuff that we did. And it was kind of corny, but we actually liked it. Like, our team, we loved those little things that we did as a team. We felt like siblings. We felt like family. And he was really respectful. I remember one of the things, even Tapa and them did it too as well, was the chapel. That was huge, bro. Like... Because we saw ourselves as God's team when we played. And so we played with the passion, and we included, you know, God as, on our side. And when we would pray before games, we wouldn't pray to win. She's like, we'd ask him, best team win, let the best team win. But something that was super cool about Coach Lineweaver, he knew that a good amount of us were, religious and stuff. And he actually asked me before our senior season, he was like, hey, we do this, we do the chapel thing every year, but I just wanted to make sure that you and your guys' faith, you guys are okay with it. I was like, Coach, I love it. Like, this is huge. Like, this helps us come so much closer as a team on a spiritual basis as well. And so it helped a lot, and he cared that we cared as well. So it was cool.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Lineweaver, man. Most influential coach in Euless.
Yeah.
Euless Trinity history right there.
High School Hall of Fame.
Yep.
No.
Whenever you guys started getting ready for college, how was the recruiting process for you, Hiva? I know you, at one point, you committed to UCLA, right? Decommitted, and then eventually started signing with Utah.
The recruiting process was definitely a blessing. Not every kid is fortunate enough to go through that process. I remember, like I said, Kautai, if it was for him taking us out to those camps, those BYU camps, Utah camps, just getting that exposure, initial exposure helped me a lot. And also, my play at Trinity definitely helped out as well. And Coach Inoke Brechterfield, he was a D-line coach at UCLA, was the one that recruited me at UCLA and made me feel at home. Loved everything about UCLA, and I always felt Southern California was a good destination for me to go to. So when UCLA had offered, I committed there my junior year. And going throughout the process, going into my senior year, Coach Brechterfield was actually released. Him and Coach Neuheisel, who was the head coach, had got released, and so they hired a whole new coaching staff. I took my official visit there afterwards, and he was still on staff, and I was like, wait, I was just still on staff, and all of them got fired already. And he told me that he personally chose to stick around just because he felt bad that he recruited us. So he wanted to stick around for our official visit. So me, Polo, Brian Nance, we had and Lahi, we all went there. It was just one of those that I just felt like the new coaches didn't feel the love that like the old coaching staff had. Yeah. So then I had decommitted from UCLA. And honestly, Utah has always been there. Coach Galley, Coach Kalani Sitake, that's now the head coach at BYU. He used to always come to my house and, pay a visit. So I always knew of Utah, and they always made me feel comfortable. And the real kicker was USC came late in the game. And that was my dream school in high school.
Mm-hmm. I know that for sure.
My cousin Deuce played for USC during the Reggie Bush years and Matt Leinart years. Mm-hmm. So when they had offered me, I thought it was a done deal. Like, okay, Southern California, that's my school.
Here I come.
Took my visit there. There's a kid named Junior Taumoepeau, a tight end over there that hosted me. Come to find out, he was on the team the following year, so I don't know what happened. He might have got in trouble or something, but I took my visit there. Lane Kiffin was the head coach, and for some odd reason, it wasn't what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought USC was going to be the school. I
like
took my
the
visit
glamour
there.
and
the glamour and everything, but of course, Pete Carroll was the coach back in the days. However, when I took my visit, it just felt like it wasn't a family at all. It was a whole bunch of individuals. And I remember my auntie Law had told me, she was the only one in my family that had any kind of college experience. So she told me, when you go to every visit, you have to envision yourself being there for the next 4 to 5 years. You know, like, so I remember waking up on my visit over there and I was like, as surprising as it sounds, USC is not the school for me. So I left there. I didn't commit. They wanted me to commit. And so when I came back, rumors had been going around that USC had dropped my offer because I didn't commit to them. So when I heard all that stuff going on, I was like, forget it. You know, I called Coach Scally and told him, like, hey, I'm coming to Utah. I'm never really knew much about Utah. I just remember when I took my official visit there, LT Tupolotu, another Euless member, was a player there, and my cousin Tauni Vakapuna was a running back there, and they just made me feel at home. And just hanging around the boys on the team at that time and the coaches, it just made me feel like, okay, like if anything, it's like they believed in me.
Yeah.
They believed in me the whole time. They didn't waver. And I feel like for any kid going through any process, like with the high school football recruiting, just having a coach that can believe in you just goes a long ways. And that's why I chose Utah.
Man, that's crazy though. Like, just because like, you know, you think you know like the things you want to do, but then like when you find out what your fit is and you actually like feel at home, like at the university you finally want to go to, you know, it probably was just like, dang, like I never could have seen myself living in Utah for the next few years. You know what I mean?
Well, for me too. I mean, especially because I'm not LDS.
Yeah,
I'm Methodist.
Yeah.
Methodist. So when I told my family, I was like, Utah was in serious consideration. Oh man,
all they're like, what the
yeah,
hell?
like Utah, you gotta go get baptized. It's like, Mom, Dad, don't worry.
That's funny.
You guys raised me right, and yeah, like honestly, the whole LDS component never fazed me, and you know, still doesn't to this day. You know, I love it here. I mean, it's home. You know, right now, and all of us, we were all in Euless at one moment in time.
Heck
Man,
yeah.
look at us, meeting in Utah.
Look at us. Look at us.
Man, you know what else is crazy is like, when we saw like all those older guys who were in Euless and we saw like the potential they could have had at the next level.
Yep.
And a lot of them didn't really capitalize like we thought they should have, right? Like, I don't want to say any names, but we know who they are.
Yeah.
And so like you think about it and you're just like, man, like, it's like, what can I do differently, right? And so, like, you go into these universities and you think you have a really broad view of, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to accomplish while I'm here. So in terms of, like, of goals, like, what was your, like, first thing? Like, okay, I'm a freshman here at the University of Utah. I've signed here. This is the place that fits me and, like, where I'm going to be successful at. What was your, like, mindset coming in? Like, were you just trying to like, all right, let me just learn all these things and let's try to just establish myself as a player here?
Well, before Utah even came into the equation, speaking of older boys, my main concern was my academics.
Oh,
Hey.
Yeah. So
Okay.
growing up, we always heard the story like why someone didn't go to a D1 university, grades. And the thing that's so sad, you know, with me working in football recruiting now is that you can have all the talent in the world, but just because of something you have control of is the reason why you can't go to a certain school. That's just sad for me.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're too small, if you're too slow to, you know, go to the next level for football, you know, you can't do anything about it. However, showing up to class on time, working hard, and doing your homework is that's in your control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know if something happens to me where I couldn't have control over, then you know, that sucks. But if it's something I can control, I'll just feel hurt. So first and foremost was my academics. Wanted to make sure I had that clear, so colleges never questioned my, you know, my what would you say, eligibility. Yes. So that was my first and foremost, and then when I got to Utah, it was it did become football, you know, because I'm away from family. I didn't choose Southern California, so I was away from my parents, away from my family in Texas. So it was almost like, man, I got to make it, you know. And for a lot of kids, they see it as like football or the highway. It wasn't until I got older that I started noticing, you know, networking and building relationships with not just football people, with just people in different fields in general, business or, you know, or anything, entrepreneurship, started coming in a role. And however, when Sam and Leka and Ko had came up to University of Utah a year after me, obviously it made it easier because I had like basically a family out there.
Your brothers were with you now.
Yeah. But when I got to Utah, it was more definitely business than anything. And I know a lot of college athletes can relate to me that like when you get to college football, like you love the game and everything, but it's just it's more business like, so it doesn't feel like, you know, back in high school you play strictly for the love of the game. Mm-hmm. Obviously I still love the game, you know, I loved everything it taught me, you know, just the small things of being on time, working hard, you know, you guys know from personal experience as well. And that helped mold me into the man I am today. But yeah, when I definitely went to college, it wasn't like high school football where you enjoy it. It was more like a business and potentially a job if you land in NFL. So
college has turned into a business lately, and that's why I used to watch more college football than the NFL, because NFL is all business. Like his contract's up in this year and all this, and I'm like, I just want to see some football. So it's sad to see that college is taking that kind of stance too, but also, I want the players to get paid.
I'm into that too.
Man, I was hearing about that when I was playing. I was like, this is never going to happen.
It's crazy because when I first moved out the dorm, so when you first move into the university as a freshman, you have to stay in the dorms. And if your grades are good and you've been doing good in football, they let you move out. And when I first moved out of the dorms, I was making $8.96 a month to pay for rent, pay for food.
What?
And it's like, you know, kids from back home, when they see us, they're like, man, you guys made it. You guys made it to college. And it's like, yeah, we made it to college, but I'm still struggling.
Yeah,
like, I'm still eating noodles, a couple of noodles and
PB&Js.
Yeah, cereal. Like, so when I used to go back home, even my friends that were just working, you know, average jobs were making way more than me.
Yeah.
So I used to go home. They're like, man, when are you going to take me out to eat? I'm like, man, I'm trying to feed myself.
For real.
So, I mean, like, that's why I agree with you with the whole being paid, just because I've been through the process and everything.
Well, literally, you put this question, Tapa, whenever you were at Fresno, like, how was that with you and Lita as a family? Like, I remember that must have been.
Towards the end?
Yeah, that must have been, like, a harder year.
Yeah, like, they made a joke. My friends made a joke when I got married. They're like, all right, see you never. See you next year. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then it was a learning experience. It was a struggle too, because you're with the person 24/7, and you're not used to that. Yeah, like, because you're newly married with Summer too, right? But it was like a balancing act, because there are times where I don't even see her, like until the end of the day, and I'm like tired and beat. I'm like, I gotta go to study and stuff. And I mean, I think learning from that experience, you should not get married in college if you're a student athlete. That's just my opinion. But yeah, just even with tutoring and all that, it was really hard. But what I did, you know, when you go to the bowl games, you can bring your wife.
Oh yeah,
I was excited for that. But the one year that I was married, we did not make a bowl game. And I was like, hey, we've been to the bowl game like 4 years in a row. And like
last year.
And I was injured. That's when I tore my ACL too. And injuries and I was injured too at the same time. And it was just a struggle all over. And it's not because she moved out there. That's why I got injured. But, you know, it happened.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
How about you guys dive into that, the grind of getting your body ready for the season, and then like you're getting ready for the season, you have an opportunity to play. Like, all right, this year I'm gonna ball out. I've been training. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. And then in an instant, like all your hard work. Was it your shoulder too that had gotten messed up?
It was a knee, MCL, LCL, and PCL, like the triple triad. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the CLs.
All of the L's.
So like.
But yeah, you can go ahead and
explain the mental part of that, like what the injury goes.
For me, it was definitely devastating, as you can.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I remember I was on the field when it happened. It was just a freak accident. One of the players were going for a tackle behind me during practice. Mm-hmm. Happened to land on the back of my knee while I was engaged blocking a defender.
Your knee was locked out.
And I blacked out. I blacked out for 5 seconds. I remember our coaches were yelling, like, NASCAR, which is a thing to, like, hurry up, like no huddle kind of play.
Hurry up, yeah.
And then I remember opening my eyes and trying to get up, and I had no feeling in my whole left side of my leg.
Wow, dang. That's crazy.
And like, remember, I've never had a serious injury like this before.
Your whole life. Huh?
So I was like hyperventilating on the field. I was like, freaking out, like, crap, coach, my knee, like I can't feel my leg, like that. And then I remember it was crazy because we actually weren't supposed to have a padded practice that day. So that was the big
controversy.
Yeah. And I remember Coach Witt and Scally and the other coaches, they came and apologized because, I mean, obviously we still had practice, but the fact that it wasn't supposed to be even a padded practice at all that day. Mm-hmm. And I remember they carted me out the field, and the trainer was checking my knee, and he just gave me that look, and then I knew it. I was like, man, because I was so hyped because I was starting at the time as well. I played the year before, but I was starting with Lecca and Sam. All three of us signed to Texas, all from the same high school, signed to Utah. So it was very exciting, and I was looking forward to it. I had like dreams of what we're gonna do that season, and when that happened, it was just like a bummer. I remember they told me like my ACL, my MCL were torn, and I remember I cried. I cried for like 2 days. I'll never forget. I talked to my mom and my dad a lot, and it was kind of sad because my parents had high hopes as well. Mm-hmm. But growing up in like poly family, especially if you're good at football, my dad was probably as devastated as me because he's like, man, I wanted you to make it to NFL.
It's like they put the weight on the shoulders of the world on
you. Feel the pressure,
on a 19-year-old, yeah.
Well, I was only 17 at the time.
Oh, jeez.
Just like and for me, I felt like I was letting my dad down.
Yeah.
And this was just football. But I remember I was talking to my mom, and she was my rock, most definitely, during that process. I remember she flew down right away, took care of me, and it was like, Hiva, like, don't worry, if football doesn't work out for you, this is just the beginning. And she's the one that gave me my hope.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, like God has other plans for me. And of course, going to the rehab, that thing, ACL rehab sucks. I'll tell you that.
It's the worst.
Yeah, you can't even shower. Like, my mom had to like wipe my back and everything. And I had to use like baby wipes just to wash myself. Like, you can't even take a crap right. Like,
I know.
It sucks,
on
man.
the toilet, it's weird. Your legs locked out.
It's like doing a stanky leg, man. But yeah, so I mean, obviously, it sucked for me, but I can't even imagine like your events and stuff. But you had a family, you had a wife. Like me, I wasn't married. I had a girlfriend at the time, but I wasn't married or kids or anything like that. So I give props to you,
Oh yeah. So my experience was vastly different because your coaches actually apologized to you.
Yeah, they I remember they all came up to me, and Coach Harding, my O-line coach, was the most devastated because he actually cried to me. Harding was actually my second O-line coach. So when I first came to Utah, we had a different coach, and he was a good guy, but I just felt like he wasn't the right fit. In my first 2 years, we didn't make a bowl game.
Yeah.
We were 5-7. We didn't make a bowl game at all. And then when Coach Harding came in, he just changed the whole atmosphere. And honestly, the biggest attribute I believe in him, not only like outside the coaching, the position, was he believed in us. Like, he's like, no matter what happened to us, like, he's like, don't worry, get back up. We're gonna do this. We're gonna overcome that obstacle, and so on and so forth. So he was just sad for me because he's seen how hard I worked to get to where I was, and whenever that happened, it was heartbreaking. But the good thing was, as I was doing my rehab, they said my return date wasn't going to be till like December, which like end of the season in college football, you know?
Yep.
So I just told him, you know what? Because honestly, I needed that year to make it to the NFL, you know? That was my dreams and goal. However, I was praying about it the whole time, and I just decided that, you know what? I'm going to hang it up, take care of myself, my body. And that's when I started my whole weight loss journey and everything.
Oh, yeah. We did want to get into that.
Yeah.
A little bit.
We'll touch that later. But
What about your rehab, your injury and all that?
So when it happened, I was running a route and DC was throwing it to me, and I planted on my left, and one of the linebackers like shoved me pretty hard.
Oh,
So it was a freak
kind of, yeah.
accident. I was like, this never happened before. Like, I've always been bumped when I'm getting into my route, and it just went bam, and I was like, I fell a little bit, and I was like trying to walk, and my leg would not walk right. I'm like,
it's a weird feeling.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But I think yours was a little more explosive.
Oh yeah.
But mine was just like, it was so dumb. And then right when I felt it, I was like, I already knew. And I slammed my helmet on the ground, and then my coach was like, the helmet didn't make you injured. I was like, what the hell are you talking to me for right now? He's like, get back in there. I was like, I can't get up. So I just sat down, and then I didn't get carted off. I walked all the way back to to my thing. And then we're just hoping for the best too. Like, you know, it's kind of being ignorant about it. And like, you know, I'm gonna walk back, and it's just, you know, probably a bone bruise or something. And then they did the test, the pull test.
Oh, yeah. Yank it around.
Yank it. Yeah. And then if it doesn't snap back, then you know. And then same thing, man. I didn't cry as much, but because you said 2 days.
Yeah, like 2 days, and I was heartbroken.
I cried for like a day, and then my dad called, but at the time I was married to Lita, and it was just us two. So, you know, when you're married, your parents think, you know, they're gonna do the consoling for you and stuff, and all this stuff, and it's a lot to throw onto like a wife, like a student athlete that just lost,
especially newly married.
Yeah, all his dreams, and she was just like caught off guard. She didn't know how to act, and it kind of hurt me too, because I was like, I need something. I would call my parents too, but like they're like, like my dad made me go on my official visit by myself.
Oh, okay.
He was that type of guy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, just gonna go and go party and probably be hella drunk. I'm just kidding. I didn't drink on my visit. Just everyone who's listening.
Hey, me too. I didn't drink anything on my visits.
Nah, but it was hard, man. It was probably till this day, like the hardest thing I had ever had to go through. Rehab and getting back into it. And even when I did get back into it, my knee never felt the same. Like, and like, there's a lot of other factors that went into it. Like, but then this one stupid strength coach, he's our head strength coach. I still hate him to this day. He came up to me because I was sat in the weight room. He's like, "You're not the only one who's tore your ACL," and just walked away. I was like,
wow,
what the hell? But then when I would play, he would like, oh, good job. Like, we'd score a touchdown. He goes, and then he just had this like two-face. Like, because I wasn't like the strongest in the gym. Yeah, I wouldn't be the one that's lifting like 300 bench and 450 on my squat. And he didn't see that I was working hard enough. I was like, I'm just not strong in the, you know, the weight room, but, you know, get on the field, I'm gonna put you on your back. But yeah. So my experience was a little different. No, but my head coach, they came up to me and they're like, hey, you know, this and that, we'll support you. And if you do want to step away from the game and just focus on school and your wife. But I was like, no, I'm coming back. And then I try to make the comeback, but it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when you're that close to graduating and, yeah.
Wow. Going back to that too as well. That's why I'm so thankful for choosing Utah, because they took care of me.
Oh yeah, hearing about your experience, I'm like, dang, I should have went to Utah. I just walked on or something.
They took good care of me. I mean, they apologize, of course, you know, because things could have been avoided. However, you know, football is inevitable in football.
Yeah.
I mean, injuries.
Free actions happen all the time.
They're inevitable in football. So
NFL stands for not for long. That's what they always say, because it's injury ridden. It's unfortunate.
2 weeks after my injury, Coach Witt had brought me up to his office and was like, Hiva, you know, we're so saddened to hear, you know, your decision not to, you know, come back on the team. However, we respect it and understand it. And we personally feel like it'll be best if you would want to come and do student coaching. So
nice.
So my senior year, I didn't play, but I was a student GA student coach for
you got that experience.
Got the experience. Got to sit in the booth upstairs and hear the play calls and just learn. And Coach Witt just felt like, you know, for such a devastating moment that it would bring some ease to the situation. Yeah. So just being around the boys, being around the team, definitely helped me get through that whole process. And then, you know, graduating after that season and moving on with life.
Yeah, I like it.
So this all happens with your guys' careers. You get into coaching, being a GA at Utah. I don't really know what path you took, Tapa, but like, what was the transition for you guys like when you finally knew that, you know, you weren't going to be?
Yeah, so my playing weight was about 295, 300. And basically when the injury happened, I knew I wasn't going to play anymore. And I was doing my rehab. I remember my surgeon told me that, well, what helped speed the recovery was dropping weight. Less pressure on your knee will, you know, make the rehab go by faster. So that's what kind of started it. And also told myself, you know, just when I was done playing football that I would want to lose the weight. Just because, you know, I see a lot of Polynesian people, you know, like after high school, whatever, just not take care of their body.
Yeah.
You know, and one of my dreams and goals is to, you know, when I get older to play with my kids and not have to worry about that. And it goes back to what I said, like, it's something I can control. You know, my weight and everything. It's something I can control. You know, if I was to die because of my weight, I'll feel sad for myself. You know, and also my family has a lot of diabetes problems, so it's like a family genetic thing. So that's what kind of jumpstarted me into the whole weight losing process. You know, just starting to eat a little bit healthier. I mean, I don't go completely super duper healthy, but just cutting out soda, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and then. Also, it's like my physical, like, thing I could get off. Because, you know, playing football all your life, or basketball, you're so used to doing something physical. It's that competitive edge right there. So now working out for me, it's more like, other than a health benefit, it's just like that competitive edge in myself that I can get out every day.
Wow, I like that. I think I should learn from this. Learn from you, man.
It's like, I need to do something. I've just been lazy for the longest time.
I know. I'm at, what am I at? 258? I want to be like down to 215 or 220.
What about your transition, Tap? Like after you graduated from Fresno, like what was your, like, I know a lot of athletes are getting to that mode to where they're just like, okay.
Limbo actually explains it really well, because you're just going through yourself. Like everything you know is taken away from you like in an instant. So what you know is just, you know, working out, eating right, NFL. You know, that's your goal set. Just like you said, when it's taken away, I was in limbo and actually met with Coach Witt after. Star actually got me a meeting with him because I wanted to do GA and coaching. But just seeing the negativity that I've seen at Fresno, like with my strength coach, how he said that, and also Pat Hill being fired that same year too when I got injured, because we had a bad season that year.
That was the head coach, correct?
Yeah, Pat Hill, and then they cleaned house. Everyone got replaced, and at that time too, I was like thinking like, what should I do? And then Derek Carr got up and he's like, don't transfer out of impulse. And I was like, all right. And then I'm thinking back now, I'm like, I should have transferred, because the coaches that came in were just they're toxic. They didn't know the players, you know,
and they didn't care. So they were just waiting to bring
especially
their guys
me,
in. Someone
who just tore the ACL as their senior year. Like, what are they going to offer? You know? So a lot of that kind of, because my mindset was like, I want to be a coach in college, and that's it. That's what I wanted to do. But then seeing like the business side of it and stuff kind of turned me away too. And like how, you know, it's all about money. Coaches getting fired because of money. Like Pat Hill was the greatest coach over there at Fresno. Like, why did we let him go just for one bad season?
Fresno after that had a few bad seasons after.
Yeah, and then they won it with DC that year. So they won it with my squad that we came in with. But then after the recruiting came, like 3 years after, they just couldn't find the talent. It's because you fired the best coach of Fresno. But they're doing well now, and I leave my hard feelings behind, and I just knew that coaching wasn't my thing, and I was thankful for Star to give me a meeting with Coach Witt. Great guy. Like I've only talked to him for 10, 15 minutes. Most respect for him. I mean, that's not taken away from Sitani over there, BYU guy over there, Bono. But I had that meeting with him, and he was like, "Yeah, come on, you're gonna be like a working GA where you're getting paid." I don't know what he was saying, but then I kind of didn't follow through with it too, though.
You and Hiva could have been on the staff together.
and then that just didn't follow through, and I was just like you said, in limbo, just trying to find out like what I want to do. Like I don't have sports in my life anymore. That's all it was. And so I just kind of turned to, other stuff. Like I like technology. You kind of have to find yourself in a way. Yeah. Because I think
it's almost like reinventing yourself.
Yeah. And it's cool that you went through this same experience too, because you had with your senior year and stuff, you can kind of think about what you want to do. And I was in my counselor's office for all day, and then my wife was like, "Why are you over there so much?" Because she was a girl too, but nothing happened. But I just wanted to talk, and like, I don't know what I want to do. Like she's like, "Oh, why don't you go PT, physical therapy?" And I was like, and even now I'm still trying to think of like what is my thing, what's my passion and stuff. And I do like technology and stuff, and that's why I wanted to start this podcast with Lahi. Like, I'm handling all the technology stuff, and he's handling most of the questions and stuff. Yeah, but that's where my transition was. It was not a smooth one, and you just kind of find yourself.
And I feel like our parents tell us like, you go to school to get a good education to set you up for a good job after football. It's like, and if you so happen to make it to the NFL, great on you. But, they say those things to get a great education, but no one really like emphasizes what education really is. Like you find something that you're passionate about and you just go for it, right? Like you find what you love, and for me, like sports has always been something I've been like, even in terms of like watching, like breaking down the game, the X's and O's and everything, like that fascinates me. And that's why like when I talk sports with Tapa, like I notice like he always takes my insight like very seriously. And then like when it comes to like technology stuff, like anytime I'll ask Tapa a question, like I take those things seriously. But I know for a lot of athletes, like you cultivate your skill as a player, but the things we don't cultivate is like what's your separate passion, your separate dream. Like if this doesn't work out, like are you really setting yourself up, or are you so all in football, like you're not giving yourself any room on your plate to kind of pursue what the next stage in life for you is? And like most people, you're very lucky if you find the number one thing early.
Yeah,
it's like
I envy the people who know what they want to do.
Same here.
like right away.
And you're even luckier if you find your number two thing early too.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah,
because there's many people who have different phases of their life, and like the late Kobe Bryant that had passed away. His time where he found out what his second passion was going to be was just like you guys, when he had gotten injured. And the year that he tore his Achilles, he was thinking to himself, like, oh, this end part of my career is coming up really soon. Like, I need to get on the ball. And so he started investing his time that away from the court into, like, his social, he had a media marketing company. He started going into storytelling. He started going into all these different things, like learning how to write, learning how to do all these things that set him up to be successful for the future. And I think that's huge, man. Like, it's like, I don't take away from anyone who's trying to make it to the league. If you're going to make it to the league, all in, I support you 100%. It's like, but we need to be like more mindful of, okay, what's our second end game, right? It's like, it's not a backup plan, because in real life, like, that's not what we think about. Like, we think about one plan, boom,
go all
number
in.
two plan, boom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's essentially two whole entire different plans. Or in backup, it's just like, for me, the way it's phrased, it's like you have option A, and then after that, like this is kind of like option C or D to you. It's not really like right after it, because then it's like the figuring out process of it all. And so for me, like I think what's really cool is the second part of your life after football, you got into this bodyguard thing, working with celebrities. How's that experience been?
It's been great. After college, I had a chance to, continue on with the coaching thing, but, the injury had left a bad taste in my mouth. So I wanted to start fresh. So after I finished off at Utah, I remember I told myself, like, okay, I just need to move somewhere and start fresh. I don't know what I might get into, but I just need a new start. And one of the best advices that I got after football was to know that it's okay that I don't know what I want to do. Because I think it's as tough as it is after for a lot of football players to figure out what the next thing to do in life is. Like, some people just get stuck there, like, damn, there's nothing else. But I remember a cousin of mine told me, he was just like, man, he had played at Cal Berkeley and finished off at Sousa, but he had told me, like, man, one of the best things that I could tell you, just, it's okay, man. It's okay to go through, your trials right now. Like, it's normal. Just know that, and don't, like, dwell on it. Just, just use it as a learning experience to what you want to get into, and how I ended up back in California. I stayed with my parents my first year before moving in with a friend of mine. And when I was out there, I was just like, it's almost like the limbo thing you're talking about. It's kind of like just reinventing myself, figuring out what I was going to do. And luckily, I had an uncle that was, he was working in security. He served in the Navy, special ops for 7-8 years, and medically retired. And then he was actually working in South Africa for months at a time, providing security for people with like diamonds and gold and some crazy business. Anyways, he came back to the States and was like, man, can't be doing this, because he had a family of his own, so he's spending too much time away from the family. So he started his own security company. And when he started it, I had just moved to California.
Oh, nice.
So he's like, Hiva, man, like, would you ever think about getting into security? I was like, didn't know much at the time. I didn't have no kind of military background. But one thing I did know was how to protect people. Playing offensive line, protecting my quarterback. I knew how to protect people. So he honestly was my mentor, which I think everyone needs, is a mentor or someone, like a counselor, like you talked about earlier. So he was my mentor that took me under his wing. Basically taught me the game, took me to go get licensed into, he has to get this guard card, he has to get licensed to carry. And
so you do carry?
Yeah, I carry.
Wow.
Yeah, so not right now. Yes, I have a license to carry. I have my guard card, and then he just took me on his wing, and we went out of the country together. Being in Hollywood and just being in the security field, you see crazy things for sure. But it was just like you said, it was like a different outlet, and for me, I loved it just because it's like same thing like I did football, like protecting people, but just in a different way. Yeah. And at the same time, it's a grind because you spend hours and hours with your client. You taking them everywhere, and also like making sure no one's trying to get to my quarterback. So we started out with just just a couple clients, and then obviously we made that jump to now where it's like celebrities, which is like the Ace family, YouTube family vloggers and Lil Nas X, and with me working recruiting now, I was fortunate to combine both fields.
Yeah.
I was working in bodyguarding, and then I told you earlier, it's just like a little motto I go by, is like who will get you there, and what will keep you there. So my uncle obviously got me into the security thing, but then going through the learning lessons of how to shoot a weapon, how to different scenarios, and how to take care of a client, that kept me in the bodyguarding field. And then I always knew I wanted to get back into sports, and then I got people from the University of Utah had contacted me and was wondering if I wanted to return back to the Utah in the recruiting department, which I love, because I love the game, So obviously my connections back in Utah bring me back to Utah, and then my knowledge for the game is what kept me with that job. And then when Lil Nas X happened to come up with my uncle to Utah, I was like, man, if you guys want to come stop by Utah, come on by. And then he came on by, and I remember it was like a craze, like what is a celebrity doing at Utah, at the University of Utah. But yeah, so I just been fortunate and blessed with opportunities that I have, and it's just one of those that I feel like like anytime someone has an opportunity, they just need to be able to capitalize on it instead of just dwell in the moment like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and just settle like that. Instead of that, I just remember just jumping on my horse and freaking whatever opportunity came to capitalize on it. So
yeah, I got a question. How did you feel when a lot of people were asking for your for this? Oh man, it's social media, man. Yes. How did you? Were you a little shy? I mean, I don't.
I honestly didn't know about this until I was getting tagged by all of my family and friends.
That's hilarious.
It's crazy what social media can do, but
Poly Nation.
Oh, it was a regular work day for me. Yes.
And this was protecting the Ace family, right?
Yes. They had a little get together for the fans, like a meet and greet kind of deal, and I'll just doing my security thing, and all of a sudden I see myself trending as a
that's hilarious
Poly Nation. I'm not gonna lie, I had so many messages from this, so. Yeah,
we can move on. Yeah.
Being popping at that time. Sure.
I thought I'd throw that in there though. But,
oh man, that's
funny.
Funny.
Before we wrap, do you want to ask him any other stuff?
I just want to how's it working with those celebrities? These are people who, they make tons of money. They have like all these fans who want to be a part of them, and then like see who they really are. And you're literally with them with hours and hours on day. If anything, like, what do you learn from these people? Because in terms of like networking, like when you're around people who make more money than you, and they know like their effect on the culture, and that they're huge on social media, like what's like your takeaways from them? Like what are things like they've like. Maybe they gave you game about like, hey, like when it comes to this is how you handle yourself in these certain situations.
Yeah, I remember hearing. I don't know if you guys know Lala Ellsworth, tattoo guy from Frost City.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
I met him on occasions, and I remember him talking about this, about the 1/3 rule. And you spend like a third of your time with people above you, and learn from them, and also a third of your time, preaching to the ones that look up to you. And one thing I do take away from all of the clients is that the networking is like, that's like the priority.
Number one.
They never like really burn a bridge with anybody, just because you never know. You never know what someone's gonna do one day, and as long as you have a good relationship with them, you possibly have a chance to
work with them in the future. Yeah.
And also it's like their mindset is totally different. I remember hanging around with like some millionaires and stuff, and like I thought I work hard, like football and security, but man, it's like they work hard, not just physically but mentally. They're like on a whole different mindset.
Preparing themselves for their day. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's just, if anything, I would say is like that. It's like just their mindset. Their mindset is like they never settle for less. And the thing is that, I mean, you guys hear a lot, but I've seen it with them. It's like the road to success. I mean, it gets lonely sometimes, and sometimes these people are not married because they're chasing their dream. They're willing to drop everything, to make it happen. So, if anything, that's one thing I learned the most about them is that they're very driven and, like you said, passionate. They're just passionate for whatever they're doing.
So like in terms of like them dealing with Polynesians, I know that's probably not something that's a norm for them. Mm-hmm. Like, what's like their initial reaction to be like, hey man, y'all like such like chill, like cool people, but at the same time, like when stuff goes down, they know they're like y'all will do anything for them in terms of being bodyguards.
They all know is that they think we're Hawaiian, and they only know Dwayne Johnson. That's like The Rock. Yeah, so they're like, are you guys related to Dwayne? I'm like, oh yeah, that's my cousin. Yeah. Even though we're not cousins, but
Tawani.
Polynesians do have a stereotype of just being like big guys, and that's it. But me and my uncle were I would say he's very intelligent too. I mean, he's an entrepreneur himself. He made it happen. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest of roads, but I think we're just trying to show other routes than sports.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about, like that. Just like we all talked about, you know, just because football or whatever sport you're in is done, that doesn't mean your life is over. You still got whole bunch of life to live, and with us in the whole security game, it's just we just try to make a different outlet for our people. So
yeah, I like that a lot, because that's kind of what we're doing with this podcast too, right?
Yeah, just like showing, like, I remember shout out to Prolific Podcast. One of them was just saying like, you know, our people, like we're amazing people, but I think our access to the world is very limited. Mm-hmm. Like, we have so many people out here who are super talented, and like our duty and role as Polynesians is like, share our talents, man. Like, go out and be you and be unapologetic about it. Because when you share your talents, man, it's like, it's not you being boastful, it's you inspiring the next generation. And then I think that's the biggest thing for us. It's like, we don't really have the opportunity to, like, all these kids, like football just comes natural to us in terms of like the physicality of the game. Yeah. I remember talking with Tapa a little, but like, there's a reason why we don't have very many guys who make it skill-wise, right? We don't have the teachers in skills. And so when we hear about, like, our friend, you know, Ross Appo going out there and teaching these kids how to play receiver, like, that's huge, man. And I think that role is prominent. Like, we need more people to be that way. And so that's, like, one of my biggest goals for this podcast is let's kind of, like, connect all these severed ties between generation to generation and be more of a community in a sense. Like, we preach that, oh yeah, like we're Polynesians, we're all family, we're this, we're that. Like, well, if we are that, let's act like it. Like, let's live up to all those things that we say we actually are.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like, us as Polynesians, as a minority, we're just barely touching the tip of the iceberg for us.
Yeah.
You know, we're such a minority that we haven't even, like you said, we haven't reached our full potential yet, you know. That's why I love seeing, I'm supportive of any Polynesian, you know, trying to make it. That's why I'm here today, you know. I'm thankful that you guys are running this. This is cool, you know. I've never been part of any Polynesian podcast.
Yeah, you can come back anytime.
I'll be back tomorrow. But like, when I see people, like, I remember I was giving a tour to one of our recruits. We're in the business building, and I see like a couple of Polynesian people working in the business field. I see them in the medical field. I just seen one on social media the other day, like a lawyer. Nice. I'm like, man, this is amazing. And like I said, we're just barely touching our potential. And I would love for whoever's listening to this or whatever they decide to do in life to just be the best at it. No matter where you're at in life and whatever your career is, just to be the best. Because I mean, that's all you can do, you know.
100. Yeah, I like that a lot. Should we wrap?
Yeah, man. This is Hiva G, man. It's like,
yeah, thanks for joining us, man. It was
like,
fun.
Thank y'all.
Yeah. All right, we out.
All right.
For my whole life, I swear they try to put me in a box. I'm busting out, I'm breaking every little single lock. The power of my mind is endless if I cater to it. And now my people looking at me like